I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't believe. And I get more ass than a toilet seat.
Hello everybody, Sobo here. Today I was going to show y'all a little project I've been working on since December, and it's called Knyte. It's now changed, it's changed to Knyte, which is a much cooler name, and I thought I'd show you some of the scenes I'm working on. In high school, we got a senior project at my school because our school is like 5 people. We have to do these senior projects, and I decided to do mine on animation. And over the past couple, like maybe, I think my first animation I uploaded maybe 9 months ago, back in June. And that was me getting into Blender the very first time. And I've come, I'd like to say, a very long way since then. But yeah, it's become something I absolutely love to do. And if you have an interest in animation or modeling or anything, I recommend you get Blender and just figure it out, because it is just a hoot and a holler to use. And if, like I say, if an idiot like me can figure it out, I'm sure a more smarter person can figure it out. So anyways, this is my first model of Knyte. He is my very first version. He is extremely simple. I think this is like my first attempt at ever making a human-esque model. You can tell he has a very nice silhouette right here, but when he comes this way, he's like a block. And the goal was to go low poly, because I wanted to keep him, because I'm not good at photorealism, and I don't really want to bother with photorealism on this project. I want to focus on the animation aspect of it, which I have also become, I like to think I've come a long way. Now this is Knyte. This is version 1 of him, and I will bring you version 2 of him, and I honestly like version 2 much more. Now here is Knyte V2, as I call him, and he is this was actually, I made him maybe the next day. I just wasn't happy with the last one, and so I was like, I wanted the big arms and big chest and definition, and I think I really did good. I wanted the legs small in the concept art, but I honestly ended up liking him a lot. The only complaint I have is when I made his thumbs, I made them horrible. His thumbs are extremely long, and they're disgusting looking to pose. Anyway, it's very simple. I even made him, you can pose his little frickin' eyeball so he has emotions. That was another goal, and it's very cool. I wanted to keep it simple also, because I did not want to really mess with making him have too many expressions, so I thought this would be a good start, and it's very nice. So currently I've been working on this scene for the past week. It is the opening scene, because, and I decided this wasn't the first idea, this isn't even in my storyboard of it. This is just something I decided to throw in to give some more exposition to the beginning of the short film that I'm making. And the animation is extremely rough still these days. Like the video I posted the other day that was Lee Funny Gamer Moments, which is very Lee Funny. It was the beginning of that. I've come a long way. I've added more animations, but it's still very rough. I'm not an amazing animator, but I'm definitely learning the fundamentals from it, and you can definitely tell if you watch my first ever animation video where it's the karate dude, you can tell it sucks balls. I don't know what's going on with the camera, but this is much more, if you would planned out. I know what I want, except this was just kind of last minute. I just wanted him to do a backflip, and I thought it was pretty cool. And then he goes like that, and then he'll open the letter and stuff, and it'll be like, hey, go to this mountain, yo. And that's about it for this scene. The lighting was very tough on this part because, well, this window has a light source coming into it to make this, but when he gets really close to it, this happens. His back is completely white. There's no, like, it's like not black or anything, and it's just bouncing off into this, and it looks disgusting. And okay, yeah, that's called don't record. Light is bouncing off his back because the light source is so strong. And then to get the lighting to look good inside, I had to add a huge area light. If anybody knows what that is, good for you. But yeah, that helps make it look like he's indoors. It was kind of hard to figure it out, because the lighting kind of sucked because the walls they just look like a pure wall, and you can see all the triangles, and I was trying to make a little bit of definition so you could see a little detail. And yeah, that's about all it is for this scene. I also think the hardwood looks really cool. This was the original opening scene. Now this, I don't know how long this took me. This took me maybe like 3 hours. I'm supposed to log my time, but honestly I'm just going to go for estimates and what makes sense. And this was the first scene. There's only one camera shot, so we can keep it nice and simple. He's running up and down. Let's see if we can play it. Yeah, he's running up and down super freaking fast. And like, one thing I've also learned through the process is I've been a big fan of motion blur. I've learned that detail is more important than motion blur, and in 24 frame a second animation, motion blur, you're not going to see any of that detail. And these are just some houses that I modeled. It's extremely shitty, but from a distance you can't tell, and that's really nice. I also gave this mountain some very simple, just snow on top. It's just and this is one of the landmarks to tell what direction. And like, I've been creating this like little universe in my head since I was like a retarded 6th grader. So, you know, I gotta put little Easter eggs in that only I will get. Not this one yet. This is a second scene. This was going to be the establishing shot that he is going to this mountain. And as if some of you may know, I know my main friends know that I have a boner for lens flares. Now, I thought I'd actually use lens flares in an appropriate way this time, and I'd use it to signify there's something up there and we want to get to it. So I made him run towards it. Now he's supposed to stop here and it's supposed to say Sir Knyte, but I ended up deciding I wanted to change it. And also when I rendered this thing, it didn't stop there, it just kept following him. But anyway, I honestly don't know what I like yet. I think I'm just going to have it stop here. And then to add a little joke, because this is just to be a short little comedy, and a nod to old Sir Knyte. This is old Sir Knyte, And this is a new character I created, which I'm very proud of, called Lanky Knyte. And he just runs by and they're like, what the heck? They look and they're just like, oh, who cares? And they're back to their weenie roast. Yep, they're weenie roasting, y'all. Be out here weenie roasting. And of course I made a little castle because I thought it needs a little detail. And if you even give a crap, you see that he has a red cross, and this castle has a red cross. So basically, that's his house. Anyway, this is Sir Knyte. This is Sir Knyte V1 with Lanky Knyte. This is our beloved original Sir Knyte, and he is running to the mountain to go pity the fool. I don't know why I said that. And this is the third scene. This is where my animation became much better. I've always had this problem with walking animations. So I just sat down one day and I was like, well, I don't want to make him just run and then stop, like right here in this area. So I made him skip. Now I'll put the original, what it's going to look like in the end, up here right now. But this was a extremely new process for me to learn, and it was extremely worth doing it. It took me 5 hours to animate this entire scene, and it's about maybe 20 seconds long, I believe. And this was a complete hoot and holler to make. I probably spent an entire weekend on it, but it was a ton of fun. And there's things I would have redone, but honestly I'm going to keep it the same because I feel like this is, at the end of this, it's going to look crappy in the beginning, but at the end you're going to see the quality just start coming up the more I learn stuff. And let me tell you, I learn stuff every day on this. Like, I've had so many like blend files for like different scenes. I didn't know up here you can just make scenes right here. So I could have had this all in one file instead of 50. The more you know. But anyway, he jumps up. This was a completely new thing for me. Jumping. I've never wanted to do jumping unless it was in first person. My Doom animations where I have them like decking each other and blowing their brains out. That was a ton of fun to do because I didn't have to worry about walking. But this is trying to break that threshold and getting used to animating the crappy stuff. And this is, I think this looks great. So not only does he give it doesn't, when in animation you want to give anticipation before you make a character do an action. I didn't know this at the time, so this is of course a little bit, you don't get that. And so he goes like whoop, and he's like whoop, and he jumps up to the next ridge. I guess there's a little bit of anticipation there, but not enough. Anyways, he gets up and he's like, oh. And before we continue any further, when I modeled these birds, I had the intent to make them just look like eggs and make them really easy to just animate. I didn't want to bother with anything, but they ended up looking like angry birds. I didn't mean that in the first place, but they ended up looking like angry birds, and I can't get that out of my head. And I thought I'd just keep it there because someone would find it funny, like I do. And they're like, I'm getting angry. I mean, literally, they're angry birds. That's the entire purpose of this scene, is to make a little bit of, he's having a struggle getting up this mountain because he runs into some angry birds. I'm not even kidding. I did not intend this to be any way related to the game. And then they hit him. He's like, oh, shoot. One hits him, and then the other one pecks his hand, which I also loved. And then he falls. And let me tell you, 2 of these hours right up here were just making him do this. And let me tell you, it was worth it. This is literally it. That's his entire falling. But I put so much work into about every frame of this. And I love it. It's absolutely great. What the hell did... Oh, okay. Okay, here we go. And, yeah, that's it. And then I thought about just putting I thought about uploading this and then putting a "You Died" like from Dark Souls, but I never ended up doing it. And yeah, that's for this scene. This is my latest scene so far. Besides, there's one called a helicopter shot, which is just a really simple shot showing the entire mountain, because I'm gonna go into a music video. It's gonna go into like a montage, like, well, it's like gonna have like, "Welcome to the jungle, work here every day, learn to live like an animal, jungle where we play." Anyways, I'm gonna try to keep this video non-music, so any foreign lads who are from Germany, and if like I even like reference a song, they won't be allowed to watch it because of copyright stuff. I want this to be available to them. And if you can't see when I finish this, if you can't see it, just tell me, and I can honestly link you any video you want. I'll just literally put it on my Google Drive. If you can't watch my videos, just let me know and I'll put it in a Google Drive and you guys can download it and watch it for yourself. Because I don't want people not being able to watch my stuff because they live in fucking Nazi Germany. But yeah, that's for this scene. Now, what else can I talk about? Well, that's about all I got so far. I could talk about the animation process, which is honestly the bulk of the entire process. All this 5 hours, maybe like 30 minutes was spent to making this landscape. And you might be thinking, well, this is a pretty shitty landscape. I mean, not a lot of stuff going on. But for the shots that happen, there's detail where the shots matter. That helps on render time immensely. So you always keep that in mind. You don't have to build an entire landscape and like with beautiful detail and not have anybody watch it. So just always keep that in mind. If you do this stuff, just try to keep it simple and just where people are going to see stuff. The reason there's so much stuff back there is when he gets up here, he'll be like, "Oh, but this is out of focus," but I still thought I'd put just in case. And also you can see the mountain, so you know the direction he came from. Then this extra mountain, because, you know, the land of Ubu, as I call it, is full of mountainous mountains. There's also a big mountain right there. In the helicopter shot, you'll see a lot more mountains. And I could open that right now. Here, I call it the helicopter shot because I have no idea what else to call it. Now this is a huge shot. The trees that I use is about 10,000. That's quite a bit. I think I had 100,000. I don't even know if that's a word. And yeah, so it has all the mountains. It sets the scene. It lets you get it gives you a taste of the landscape. And a problem I ran into was that the horizon ends, like right here. It's ugly. But luckily, through the use of depth of field, you can't tell. And one thing you gotta learn when you animate is it can't be perfect, because if you're a perfectionist, well, I got bad news for you. If you're a perfectionist and you're impatient, boy, you're never gonna get anything done, because you're just gonna burn yourself out. So you might as well just freaking shit it out, call it good. So that's the scene. There's mountains. I think I might use this for my earlier one, so there's a bit of continuity. And there's another thing you got to remember, is who cares about continuity? No one cares about continuity but you, because you're the only one who's going to notice it. That's one thing I've also learned. So, you know, it just spins around like this. Of course, there's a beautiful lens flare that's right there, you know, because I love lens flares. And some awesome depth of field. Another thing that I've kind of been slacking on is my first scenes. They don't have depth of field. And I need to just... I decided I will be using depth of field. So, yeah, it's going to also add that, because I feel like if there's depth of field in some shots and depth of field and not depth of field in others, it's going to look retarded. And so I'll talk about some of the characters. I've created many characters. I should show you one more scene, but first I'll show you the Lanky Knyte. Lanky Knyte, he's a beautiful young man. He is tall and lanky, and So he's just like Sir Knight, you know, he gets angry and mad, you know. He's very simple. He has certain textures that will map where his armor actually shines, and it's a lot easier. So instead of having 2 material slots, he has 1 material slot. And in Blender you use nodes, and I think nodes are a godsend. So basically he has a glossy shader here, he has a diffuse, and then he has this is a mix shader, so I can choose where I want some things. So I use this map to tell Blender where to put the glossy at. So basically where all of his armor is, and it's just like white where I want the armor to be, and black where I want the texture to be, where it has this little cute cross. And Lanky Knyte, he's really simple. He was just like an afterthought for scene 2. I just wanted to add him, and just more practice for modeling people and getting used to it, you know, and making armatures. Armatures is what lets me move them, and so yeah, it's all a process. And another scene I can show you, actually I'll show you my Lanky animation. This is pretty cool. This was honestly, this is the only part that matters. Just focus on the feet. The feet are all that matter, because this was just practicing making him walk. Well, just any model walk. See how I just trying to keep his feet in one place and walking. Now he doesn't have a really stylistic walk at all. He walks really lame. It's not really interesting, but it's still getting used to things that you're not used to, and that's something, if you're doing animation, I wouldn't say you should tackle it immediately, but you shouldn't be afraid to try new things in Blender or anything. You just gotta try it, you know what I mean? Now, I've made some models. This is my character list, basically. And I'm going to be putting pictures up right now because I have an entire thing of just blend files, and I don't really want you to see them, because most of them include something funny that makes me seem like a weirdo PNG. I made a dragon. Now this was my first ever animal I've ever made, because I've only modeled people and like buildings and stuff. Now this guy, he was a learning process too. Mainly on the wings. Like everything else was really easy, but the wings were a pain in the ass, honestly. And the wings, of course, they're all opposable or whatever you want to call it. And the nice thing about low poly, like I said, the texturing wise, now you might see this, who cares about this? No one's going to notice it but me. That's another thing I remember, who cares? It's super easy. I just assign colors and then I bake them into one nice little texture. So it runs on Blender a lot easier, and yada yada yada, no one cares. And of course, like all my characters in this short, they all have that one emotion. That's about it. He was a lot of fun to model. He has a ton of neck bones. Like, they go all the way through his neck, and then arms, yada yada. But yeah, he was really fun to make, and that took me about a day maybe to make. Here's another guy. This was the picture I'm going to show you. It was because there's one scene where he's going to be running through people, cavemen. So I wanted to make a caveman, and you know, he kind of looks like one of those dudes on the Eastern Islands. And let me find him. But yeah, he is basically the caveman. He's just a big guy. He's dumb, fat. Which he's supposed to look. He's supposed to be fat. He's kind of like different from gosh dang, he's different from Sir Knyte, because Sir Knyte is a huge dude. He he hits bench every other day. I'd even dare say he does it every day. And he's just getting stuff done, and I still can't find him. Oh, here he is. So here's Caveman. I still need to finish this model, mainly because when I oppose him, well, his Caveman shirt doesn't move. And that's a problem. So I thought I'd just put it out a little bit. This was a test for clothing, really. So like usually when I start a new model, it's a challenge to learn something new. And this time it was trying to figure out how to give him like a coat, because I didn't want just like brown. You could just tell that was just brown skin. I wanted this to be complete skin, and then he had a little shirt on top. But he's I love his face to death. But yeah, this was a complete learning process. And it was a complete hoot and holler to learn. And holy cow, I got a ton of shit on my screen. But yeah, don't look at my Wi-Fi password, please. But that's about it for today, folks. Thank you for watching. I thought I'd let you guys know what I've been working on for the past since December. That's why I haven't really been making stuff. And I kind of got to focus on it, so I can't really make any other weird Blender videos. So, because I got to get this done after spring break, which will be in like 4 weeks. So I kind of got to get it done. And after that, I hope I haven't burned myself out completely, which I don't think I have, because I have a lot of other stuff going on in my life to keep me entertained. And so, thank you for watching, everybody. It's been a while since I've talked to y'all. The last video I talked in probably was last year in like June in Lee Funny Minecraft Pranks. So, thank you all for watching. Have a great day. It's your boy Sobo. And remember to eat pant.